Tonight on Here and Now, RCMP issue an emergency alert warning people in a Conception Bay town to stay inside and lock their doors.
It was a tense morning in Carbonese, a town under lockdown as heavily armed police searched for a man thought to be carrying a firearm.
But the main thing is that the RCMP had everything under control and they issued the alert fairly quickly.
That story coming up.
We can go from a heat cramps into heat exhaustion, and then the most serious is a heat stroke.
The heat hasn't let up, and that brings some dangers with it for humans and animals. What to do to stay safe, I'll have some advice just ahead.
It's important to have fire extinguishers to make sure that your ATV is free and clear of dirt and debris.
Spreading the word, how you can help prevent our risk of forest fires.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A tense situation in Carbonese has ended. A man believed to have been carrying a firearm was arrested this morning. Here and Now's Terry Roberts has tonight's top story.
Driscoll's Lane, Carbonese, just before 11 this morning. Heavily armed RCMP officers standing down following the arrest of a man who touched off an emergency alert. The entire town ordered to stay in their homes and lock their doors. Reports of a man carrying a firearm.
Anyone inside? Driscoll. Come in, hands up. Do it now.
And this is how the arrests went down. Police on loudspeaker barking orders to surrender. First, a woman is arrested, and then a man. No resistance, a peaceful ending, but for residents, an unsettling experience.
I've been separated from my wife and my 8-year-old little girl for the last probably hour and a half. Stressed, wondering, if everything's going to be okay, but it seems like now they might have the situation cleared up, hopefully. So, fingers crossed that everything works out, nobody's hurt, And
what's next for you, Mark? What's your priority right now?
Going home, making sure my little girl's okay. Stuff like this don't happen in Carbonese. I've been living here for 34 years now, basically, and this is the very first time I've ever heard of a situation like this around here.
The RCMP issued an emergency alert at 9:30 this morning, saying they were hunting for a man wearing a maroon shirt and black shorts and driving a gray Civic. It started on Valley Road here in Carbonese. The local swimming pool and the nearby Carbonese Academy locked down solid by police. Some 150 children taking part in summer day camps ordered to shelter in place. The police responded in force, fully prepared for an active shooter situation. The search then made its way to the area near Carbonese Hospital. Just after 10 a.m., the RCMP issued an update, saying they believe the man was at a home here on O'Driscoll's Lane, and again advising residents to stay inside and lock their doors. Then at 10:19 a.m., the police issued another advisory. A man had been arrested. The emergency alert ended. No further threat to public safety. No information on the identity of the man, whether he was in fact armed, and what charges he is facing. And no details on the involvement of the woman who was also detained. It was an unprecedented scene for Carbonese. Businesses locked their doors. Parents were cautioned against picking up their children during the emergency alert and lockdown. Medical appointments were paused.
This is the first.
The mayor praised the RCMP for its response.
The RCMP had everything under control and they issued the alert fairly quickly, and then everyone was sheltered in place. The children were fine with their leaders. The parents were unfortunately unable to go in and be with their children, and that was no doubt frustrating and stressful on their part as well. But overall it was concerning, but the RCMP did a fine job, and as well as the town of Carbonese for shutting down all their facilities.
Fortunately, the RCMP tactical unit was training in the area when the alarm sounded, ensuring a rapid response to a real-world emergency. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Carbonese.
We do have more on this story now. This afternoon, the RCMP issued a statement saying they were alerted after receiving a report that a man was running along Valley Road, possibly carrying a firearm. Tips from the public later led officers to an empty rifle case near the local college campus. No firearm, however, was found. The RCMP say the investigation is continuing. And the RNC is investigating another tense incident that happened this afternoon in a downtown St. John's neighborhood. Police closed access to Cabot Street at the intersection to Goodview Street late this afternoon. Residents who live in the area were asked to stay in their homes. Others were told to avoid it altogether. Police initially believed there was a weapons offense in progress, but that no longer seems to be the case. The neighborhood is once again accessible to residents and traffic. Police say the parties involved in the incident are believed to know one another. Well, with all of this heat we're experiencing, the provincial forest fire officer is warning people to be safe this weekend. The fire risk is high for eastern parts of the island and eastern Labrador, thanks to the dry conditions and the 30-plus temperatures. Here Now's Colleen Connors has that story.
This is the worry, a wildfire like this one that threatened Grand Falls last summer. Right now, there are 5 active forest fires in the province. Extreme record-setting heat, dry forests, and brush. These types of conditions mean the risk of fire is much higher. The provincial fire duty officer wants people to be safe. He says to make sure your campground or municipality doesn't have a fire ban in place. And if you are having a campfire, make sure you have a rake, shovel, and water supply nearby.
To properly extinguish that fire after you're done and never leave a campfire unattended.
And Madi suggests residents have a plan for safe outdoor summer activities.
If they're on the move within the forest resource, it's important to have fire extinguishers. If you're on an ATV and have the appropriate gear to put out fires, make sure that your ATV is free and clear of dirt and debris, so that if it does get hot on your muffler and ignite and fall off and cause a fire, if you've taken that step to make sure all your equipment's free and clear of dirt and debris, you can kind of do it safely. Always know the fire risk and check local regulations.
Madi says July is when we see the most wildfires due to natural causes like lightning. The federal government says if a wildfire breaks out, Ottawa is ready to help protect any community in the province.
So we can deploy people, we can deploy equipment to help and support local or provincial efforts to fight fires. So we would certainly respond very positively to a request by the province of Newfoundland and Labrador should forest fires erupt.
With so many fires burning across the country, Guilbeault's department is on round-the-clock fire watch. But with record-breaking heat, he says everyone should be.
Canadians have to be very careful, even more careful than they are. We know that we have very hot and dry conditions pretty much across the country right now. And it's very easy for fires to start, whether from human cause or natural causes.
So far this summer, there are pockets of high risk. The Forestry Department has water bombers and fire crews stationed strategically across the province. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
And those temperatures can be unbearable for some and have the potential to be dangerous for humans and animals. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm has more on how to stay safe in the heat and how to protect your furry friends.
Sunshine and heat, it means pure joy for some, but brings health risks for many.
Elderly people, because they're inside, they probably don't have air conditioning. They may not have someone to look after them, and they may have the windows closed, they mightn't have a breeze. So if you have a neighbor, you have a relative, make a phone call. Drop by, see how they're doing.
But it's not just people who are old. Children can also be hard hit by the hot weather.
Young kids are out and they're running around, sunscreen, headdress on, and watch them because they can burn fairly easy in this. And they're having fun, they mightn't realize.
The advice from many is to stay inside, but that's not always possible for people whose jobs keep them out in the sun.
Watch where you're working. If you're on a roof doing roofing or shingling and it's hot and you start to get a little bit dizzy or disorientated, maybe it's time to come off the roof and do something else on that work site.
Crucial advice: wear thin clothes in light colors, protect your head, wear sunscreen, and stay hydrated.
I want to keep lots and lots of fluids in my system, and the best fluid is water. Just keep hydrated and stay out of the sun if at all possible.
Advice that's very similar for pets. They should stay in the shade and have lots of water to drink and to bathe in.
If you want to wet down your dog, lukewarm to cool water is better. So having a little small kiddie pool or puppy pool in your backyard for them to just sort of wallow in. Being wet will sort of help them stay cool, letting them go for a swim.
Not just dogs are at risk.
Our cats definitely can also be impacted by the heat, even without leaving the home. If we don't have air conditioning and it's unusually warm, we need to make sure that our cats have access to cooler locations in the house. They have lots of access to water.
Don'ts: excessive play and walks during the hottest hours.
If you can't hold your hand on the ground for, more than a minute, then don't ask your dog to walk on it.
A lot of pets and people are looking for a break in the weather. Heather Gillis is watching the forecast. Heather, will there be some relief from the heat over the next few days?
The heat warning is looking like it's going to end. Thanks, Henrika. And we're going to come off the heat warning. So basically, let's talk about the criteria for a heat warning. It's affecting fewer places in the province right now. So still southern Labrador from Norman Bay to Lodge Bay and the Bonavista area, as well as the northern Avalon. And Environment Canada issues a heat warning when we're going to see temperatures over 28 degrees for consecutive days. And it can also happen when we have humidex over 36. So that's what we've been experiencing. Things are going to drop back just a touch with some of the weather on the way. We do have some showers that are going to move across the province, starting to move across parts of the province right now, especially along the south coast. And they're going to push into central Newfoundland. And that's going to drop the temperature back down into the mid to upper teens in the overnight. So that's what we should see is the heat wave ending then, but it's still going to be pretty warm, not 28 to 36, but just maybe a degree, possibly two shyer than that. So it's still going to be quite warm. So that advice that Henrika just gave us still stands into tomorrow as well. And then we should have some showers into Friday. Let's take a look now at our future tracker. We see those showers right now. Two bands of them really from the southwest coast and parts of the south coast pushing up through central Newfoundland. And what's going to happen in the overnight is this is going to continue to push through. Could bring 20 to 30 millimeters in some places, but we'll have more on that a little later in the show.
Well, as you can see from the forecast there, central Newfoundland seems to be cooling down a bit following one of the hottest heat waves in recent memory. Kids were back playing sports earlier today, making the most of below 30-degree temps for a change. The Park Street Citadel in Grand Falls, Windsor opened up a cooling station yesterday for anyone looking to escape the heat. But with temperatures starting to recede and some rain showers earlier today, not many needed to cool off. Still, the church tells CBC it wants the community to know people have a place to go to escape the humidity. Well, we've been following along with the North American Indigenous Games this week, and Team Newfoundland and Labrador has been doing great, especially on the track. CBC's Amanda Gear has been covering the games all week for us, and tonight she's live from the Dowplex in Halifax. So, Amanda, how's the team doing?
Fields down in Dartmouth. And the Newfoundland athletics team will be coming home with a lot of hardware by the looks of it. I spoke to Goose Bay's Carter Roberts about his gold medal win in the 100-meter race, and this is what he had to say.
It's a lot different. I've never been on track before. I've never ran spikes. It's just road running and soccer for me, for running-wise, yeah.
Wow, and how is that different for you?
It's a lot different with the spikes, definitely. There's a big difference. Lanes, it's a lot different from a road. Yeah.
Well, Carolyn, things have been going really great here in the pool as well. And we're going to hear from the head coach of the Newfoundland and Labrador swim team later on in the show. Reporting live from Halifax, this is Amanda Gear for Here and Now.
I'm still lucky to be able to do this at my age.
Well, that's Second World War veteran Rod Dion speaking with CBC back in 2016. Dion passed away yesterday at 102 years of age. Dion served in the Canadian Navy and took part in the invasion of Normandy in 1944. He was involved in the annual poppy campaigns for Remembrance Day for more than 50 years. In lieu of flowers, the family is asking people to consider becoming a member of your local branch of the Royal Canadian Legion or making a donation to the poppy campaign. His wife, Frances, passed away just over 2 months ago.
I'm not encouraging people to follow, but I will say it was probably one of the most breathtaking experiences of my entire life.
Pretty spectacular, but also pretty dangerous. We'll meet the friends who pitched their tent on a Twillingate iceberg. That's ahead.
And the heat continues today. We'll talk about the highs, the humidex, and the showers that are on the way to hopefully cool you off.
Well, Heather is here with the forecast. Some great weather, but as we heard earlier in the show, seems to be cooling down in some places, which is probably a relief for some.
Yeah, it looks like our temperatures are going to cool off in the overnight, especially for much of the island being in the mid to upper teens. And one thing I do want to mention, we've got some temperature records to talk about, but first it was a new record set in Gander in some sense, in that it was over 20 degrees in the overnight there for 3 nights in a row. So if you're sleeping hot, that is why. Temperature a little cooler tonight. We'll tell you how much in just a little bit, but look at these records right here. And we've got a record broken yesterday in Bonavista, 29.1 degrees, smashing that old record of 28.3 degrees. In Daniels Harbor set another record at 25.3, smashing by almost 2 degrees, one set back in 1984, 23.6 degrees there. Taking a look at our highs today, talking about that heat warning, that 28 criteria, seeing that today in St. John's and Bonavista, things backing off a little bit through central, mid-20s for Terra Nova, Gander, Badger, but in 28 in Deer Lake today, cooler along the west coast as well, but still hitting 30 in Mary's Harbor, where you have also had a stretch of very warm weather and are under that heat warning, which should be coming to an end today, later today. In the 20s for most parts of Labrador, but cooler for western parts of Labrador today, factoring in that humidex values up in the 30s for the northeastern part of the island and into southern Labrador, into Mary's Harbor there. Still a warm day for much of the province. Temperature change, you can see it's really dropped back in central Newfoundland over the last 24 hours by 4 to 6 degrees in central, and 5 in Corner Brook, 4 in Churchill Falls, and 2 in Labrador City. 4 degrees warmer or cooler in Cartwright today as well. We've got some showers on the way. Let's talk about that. We really are going to see them start down here in the south coast and swish up through central Newfoundland and to that north coast of the island. We could see up to 25 to maybe even 30 in the heaviest spots along the south coast. Taking a look at our fire hazard now, where we were talking about that a little earlier in the show. Warm weather, still like a tinderbox in southern Labrador with all those warm temperatures. Future tracker, here you go. We're talking about that rain. This is the rain that's going to sweep up through central and southern Newfoundland. You can see there in the overnight, bringing some heavy showers, possibly, and some thunder showers to some parts of the province. And as we head into Friday, we're going to see some clearing. There we go. Goodbye, cloud. And that will make for a pretty decent Friday for us as we head into Saturday. Taking a look at our temperatures for tonight now. So we're seeing those temperatures in the teens. They're now backing off from the 20s. Hopefully you get a better night's sleep. 18 from St. John's and Gander into Grand Falls, Windsor as well. 17 in Marystown, where you could pick up 5 to 10 millimeters and as much as 30 millimeters along other parts of the south coast, and up to 25 in Port aux Basques. You could see a thunder shower as well in Port aux Basques and into some parts of the west coast, where your temperatures will be in the mid-teens, so cooling down, bringing those thunder showers. Temperatures from 10 to 16 in parts of Labrador. In Makkovik, that's where it'll be 16 tonight. Clear skies for you folks. Looking at the future tracker again as you wake up tomorrow, that clearing trend we'll see through Friday, bringing a half decent day, but come Saturday in the overnight, we'll start to see some showers moving into Labrador City. Taking a look at tomorrow now, a little bit cooler, not a lot cooler, 26, still feeling that humidex values here for St. John's and Bonavista, 34 to 32 degrees there, feeling like 32 with a few showers expected along southern facing parts here. As we move into central, we could see a shower. They will end. It could give way to a better afternoon for you, but 26 to 28 for central Newfoundland with your humidex 34, 24 there, and some showers possible down on the south coast. As we head to the west coast now, we could see a few showers here on the south coast, mix of sun and cloud for the west coast. Temperatures in the mid 20s for the west coast, a little warmer in the Humber Valley area with your humidex hitting about 33 for you folks in the Bay Verte Peninsula as well. Cooling off as we get into Port aux Choix and St. Anthony a little bit. But again, a warm day for Mary's Harbor and Cartwright with your humidex values from 28 to 30 and on into central Labrador here. Looking like a pretty decent day for you. Some showers possible in Labrador City, humidex of 30 possible with some sun in Happy Valley Goose Bay. We'll talk about your long range coming up.
Thanks, Heather. Well, Well, we now know the identity of the campers captured on camera earlier this summer. Now, you might recall those shocking pictures of a pair tenting on an iceberg in Twillingate. Not surprisingly, those images made the rounds on social media, and many people were baffled that anyone would take such a risk. Well, the CBC's Paula Gale connected with the American vloggers earlier today.
So Orange Carabiner, I mean, we just really just launched the channel. But the idea we had is we go on these cool adventure challenges, and we try to kind of do it to kind of just share, with our audience, something cool. We wanted to show people parts of the world that, a lot of times they might not be familiar with. Most importantly, though, the idea was to create those challenges and try to do something unique for a cause. So there's going to be a different cause for each challenge. The one for the Iceberg was mainly to kind of just commemorate those that lost their lives in the Titanic, and obviously in the new event of the Titan submarine.
Ethan, give us a sense of what it was like to actually spend a night on top of an iceberg.
I want to preface what I'm saying by making it clear I'm not encouraging people to follow, but I will say it was probably one of the most breathtaking experiences of my entire life, top to bottom. We actually caught it at sunset, so that was also added to it. But getting up there was a bit of a challenge. It was because, I don't know, the Newfoundlanders and people who are local obviously know that the walls of the iceberg are a lot higher up close. We didn't know that going into it. So once we got closer, we realized these things are a bit higher, but we came prepared for that. So getting on top of the iceberg was actually a bit of a challenge, but we were readily equipped for it. We had a couple backup plans. But once we got up there, we were kind of taken back by just how surreal it was. And as for camping itself, we had a pair of cleats that we were able to walk around with. We had the fire pit that didn't let off smoke, and we had a little mat underneath it to make sure it wasn't melting the ice beneath. And then we just brought a lot of clothing, a lot of insulation. And as for sleeping, it was a lot more comfortable than you might expect, assuming that you're packed with enough clothing and such. But it was just something that you're never going to forget.
People here in Newfoundland, we have some familiarity with icebergs, and we do really understand their power. I've seen them break in just minutes. They flip. Like, people here know that you don't go near them. Like, you don't try to climb them. People are, it's
Sure.
happened and stuff. But, did you realize how dangerous this was?
Being that we aren't local and we haven't experienced icebergs a lot, we probably don't share the depth of understanding that a local might, but we did do a lot of research leading up to this, because this wasn't one of those on a week or on a whim within a week. We spent a couple of months planning like equipment, where we want to go, what to expect, what our criteria is for something that we would mount. Are we going to be close to land? What's the currents like? What's the wind speed, the water? We tried to take every possible factor into account, but we also acknowledged, yes, it's not an extremely safe thing to do. We knew that going into it.
The one we chose was very close to shore. As a matter of fact, you can literally probably swim to it. It was on shallow waters, so we kind of guessed that there's probably not much volume under there. And also it was, kind of a tubular in shape, and seemed to be stable, and, it was not drifting. We kind of washed it for a couple of days, make sure it wasn't drifting. With that, though, I gotta say, this is not something we would advise or recommend. And obviously it still came with a lot of risks. We did take a leap of faith in this one. We were lucky that we, did it, and we came out safely out of it. But yes, this is not something we would ever recommend.
Wow, definitely a don't try this at home story for sure. Now, the pair told the broadcast they won't tent on an iceberg again, and they do recognize it was very dangerous, as they said. They did apologize when they learned that the Coast Guard was called, saying they didn't intend to trigger an investigation. Of course, Coast Guard had to spend time and resources looking into that incident. Fortunately, no one was hurt. We'll be right back. Well, it's been a good week in the pool for the team from Newfoundland and Labrador at the North American Indigenous Games. They've already picked up a few medals, and there's the potential for more tonight. Kelly Rideout is the team coach, and he joins us live now from Halifax. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Carolyn.
So tell us, how is the swim team doing in the water and out of the water?
Well, in the water, we've done really well. I think yesterday we had 2 bronze medal relays and 1 bronze individually. And tonight already we've won 2 bronze medal relays, and we've got about, I believe, 4 individual races to come, which we expect to medal.
And how are the athletes doing? Are they enjoying themselves in the competition?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is, we're one big, you might say, happy family. Everybody's together, and it's funny that we took all kinds of athletes from different parts of the province, actually almost inclusive, all the way from the Javelin to the West Coast and Labrador as well. And we're all just big group. You can see them just having fun, and we've been out visiting Cultural Village, just going shopping a little bit before we had started competition yesterday. So it's been a really good experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. And, you know, a lot of the young Indigenous people coming from rural areas, as you mentioned, in Labrador, for example, where they may not have competition-sized pools. So I'm wondering, how are they able to train for something like this?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I mean, in Goose Bay, we do have a 6-lane, 25-meter pool, which is legal for competitions. They have another one in Lab West. But it's 5 lanes, but they use the 6-lane in Fairmont. And all throughout the province, including Port aux Basques, Stephenville, Corner Brook, Deer Lake, Grand Falls, not quite, but Gander, and in the Avalon Peninsula, there's a lot of pools. But when you go further away from those particular centers, like the north coast of Labrador or the south coast, then they run into those issues, yes.
Mm-hmm. Have any of the athletes had to deal with those issues, to figure out, you know, how to train if they don't have access to a competition-sized pool?
Well, it's funny you say that. We have a young athlete from Clarenville, and he's in the summer league. So their pool, they lost their pool. I don't know if you remember a fire in the hotel there. It's a hotel pool. Mm-hmm. So they only have three lanes, and it is not competition style. So he his mother took him to Gander for a couple swims. He did come to our camp we had in Stephenville in early June, and he just continued to work in that small pool till he came here. And I must say, he's fitted in well. The camp we had in Stephenville really opened his eyes to what kind of training he actually had to do. And here now he's we had 2 practices, which were enough to get him back into where we wanted him, and he's really doing well.
How much work has gone into preparing for these games?
Well, I mean, I started this before COVID, and then I had a team sort of selected, and then of course COVID delayed the games. And then after that, we just continued to talk to our athletes, went looking for more athletes. And I believe this is the largest swim team at a NAIG game. I think we have 23 out of 24 that we could possibly take, which is 4 from each age group, male and female. So I talked to them quite a bit and trying to keep in contact and ensured that when I did talk to them, saw them on the decks and in swim meets I went to, that the coaches were informed that these guys needed to train a little bit past the end of June.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kelly Rideout, congratulations on the medals so far. Thank you so much for taking the time to connect with us tonight, and good luck with the rest of the games.
Well, thank you very much, Carolyn, for having me.
Well, today we've been talking about the track at the North American Indigenous Games, but you can't forget the field. The CBC's Amanda Gear met up with 2 siblings to see if she has the arm it takes to toss a javelin.
I'm here at Beasley Fields checking out the athletics for North American Indigenous Games. Looks like a lot of fun. I think I'm going to give it a shot. But first, I should warm up. I'm getting my steps in today, girls! I'm here with Nova Scotia athletes and siblings Jordan and Owen Parsons. The first question I have is, how tall are you guys?
I'm 6'8".
I'm like pretty much 5'11".
Wow. I'm like 5 foot tall. So these two are in athletics, and what's the sport that you play and that you're best at?
Track and field, and probably event would be discus.
Yeah, same with you, track and field, and probably discus as well.
Okay, so it's not often that you see brother and sister playing so closely in sports, right? No. Are you guys competitive with each other?
No, I would say I'm more competitive than
a little bit, just a little bit.
Who's better?
No, definitely me. Definitely
me for sure.
Where's your gold medal?
I can throw farther.
Where's your gold medal?
Jordan, I hear that you're what? The regional champ, provincial champ?
Provincial champion for discus. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So, do you guys think you can teach me how to do this?
Oh, for sure we can. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What advice would you give to people who want to try out sports, try out new things?
I say just do it. I mean, there's nothing, you can't really go wrong with it. You just kind of, just do it.
You just got to be confident doing it. If you're not confident, it's not going to go well in the first place. You got to be confident, just do it.
So just do it, even if you're not good at it?
Nope,
even if you're not good, just keep going.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to have a try, but you're going to have to show me how it's done first.
So there's 3 basic steps for throwing a javelin. First is your grip. You want to have a nice, firm but loose grip at the same time. Then you want to step back, javelin up by your eyes or your forehead. Nice loose arm. Step forward, plant your heel. Bring your elbow in and just come over the top and rip it. Step back, javelin high. Go low, yeah.
As you can tell, I'm an athlete.
Well, if this heat has you climbing the walls, maybe just go with it. A new business has set up shop inside the old Brookfield ice cream factory in St. John's. CBC Radio's Martin Jones dropped by for a lesson in bouldering.
This facility, the Cove Bouldering and Cafe, is a bouldering gym, which is a form of rock climbing, and it's a cafe. So we sell some really nice coffee and some great cookies.
Now, what is the difference between bouldering and wall climbing?
Well, bouldering is kind of a sub-style of wall climbing. Wall climbing kind of has a few different manifestations. There's rope climbing, a few different versions of that. Bouldering is a type of climbing where you don't use a rope, but you don't climb as high, and there's this big gymnastic flooring system underneath you when you fall.
Okay. So no ropes at all, so you're just free falling?
No ropes at all, which is great. It makes it a little bit more accessible because you don't have to do a big rope lesson before you learn what to do. You don't need to kind of drag a friend in every time you want to work out. You can just come in on your own and you can just get right on the bouldering wall. This is a passion project of ours. So we've been working on it for a long time, but it's so great to have members of our community and new climbers in here now. Physical fitness and wellness is something everybody should kind of incorporate into their life somehow, and bouldering is a great option for pretty much anybody. We have kids, adults of all ages in here. It's really fun and it's engaging. It's not like just going to the gym and picking up heavy stuff and putting it down. There's like a problem-solving element to it. It's very engaging and it really helps you build your self-confidence. It's a lot of fun. Climbing is made up of these different kind of routes. We call the bouldering versions of that boulder problems, kind of like math problems, because you have to solve them. They're puzzles. So once a week, we'll actually take down a section of our gym and rebuild it brand new. So our members and our customers always have new kind of climbs to figure out. That's the problem-solving element of it. Some people will work on the same climb for weeks at a time. Some people will figure them out right away. It really depends on how you like to challenge yourself.
Joel, you talk about this being accessible. It's a bit daunting, though, at the same time. So physicality-wise, I mean, how strong do I need to be to do this?
Well, climbing can be as easy as climbing a ladder, sometimes easier. Ladders can be scary. So really anybody should come in and try it out. It's the easiest climbs here designed for new people to the sport of all shapes and sizes.
Whenever you're ready.
So I'm still sticking with the blue rocks.
The blue ones are better. You can touch the other ones if you want, but you won't like it.
All right. I won't like it. All right.
There you go, yeah.
So like this?
Yeah, you can get both hands on that one that's higher. There you go, and go one rock higher.
Oh my God.
Just because we're on TV.
Like that?
Yeah, go for it. Feet arse back.
Ah.
That's it.
So we actually have a 65,000 square foot factory here that shut down in 2017. We purchased it in 2019 and we're redeveloping it to bring back live, work, play to the west end of St. John's, where you can live nearby, you can come and work in manufacturing or at retail, you can shop, you can get your groceries, and you can even play somewhere like a restaurant, a brewery, or even the Cove Bouldering.
This is a massive area. Talk about the challenges of developing it into what it is now and what it's going to be.
There's definitely challenges. Myself and my business partner, Greg Hanley, we have run into multiple challenges with a 65,000 square foot factory that wasn't built at one time. It was built year after year as they added on. A lot of people know because they used to work here.
And why was the Cove Bouldering and Cafe an ideal fit for your plans?
I really think after meeting the gentlemen that own the Cove, that community is at their backbone. They absolutely loved showing everybody their sport, that they take a lot of pride in their sport. And what else is Newfoundland known for but rocks? It's a great place to come, and it's a great place to get fit and to experience something new. It's nowhere else in the city.
You got this.
Staying with sports, the FIFA Women's World Cup is underway and Canada's team is about to play its first game. CBC's Lindsay Duncombe is in Melbourne, Australia.
There is certainly a piece of Canada in Melbourne, Australia, in advance of the big match between Canada and Nigeria. This is Canada House, a place for Canadians who live in Melbourne, a place for friends and family of Canada's team, and for people who have traveled to come and celebrate the team. I just spoke to a woman who came all the way from St. Catharines, Ontario, just to watch these matches, and the players are ready to take to the pitch.
I think for me it's just been like honoring those small moments and just the process of getting here. It's been such a journey, such a climb, and you finally feel like you're almost there, right? And there's still a lot to achieve, so yeah, I'm just day by day and honoring all those special little moments in between.
The big challenge for Canada will be containing superstar striker Asisat Oshuwala. She plays with Barcelona FC, and the challenge for Canada will be keeping her away from the net. But this is a team that's used to challenges on the pitch and off the pitch. That pay dispute with Canada Soccer is still ongoing. We asked Captain Christine Sinclair about it at a press conference here in Melbourne.
It's done. Yeah, we're just not focused on it anymore. It's, about to get done. So honestly, we haven't thought about it for one second these past couple of weeks, just focusing on playing.
The big question now is, what will all of that adversity mean for the team once they finally start playing? Will it mean that they'll unify, come together, and start racking up the victories? Well, that's certainly what fans here are hoping. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Melbourne.
Well, back in Canada, a review committee from the Correctional Service says the rules were followed when convicted murderer Paul Bernardo was moved from a maximum to medium security prison. Bernardo is a dangerous offender serving a life sentence. Among his crimes was the kidnapping, torture, and murder of 2 teenage girls in southern Ontario in the early 1990s.
The review committee concluded that the decisions to reclassify this inmate to medium security and transfer him to La Macasa Institution were sound and followed all applicable laws and policies.
Kelly says additional steps could have been taken to notify families of the victims about the transfer. They were apparently only notified the day it happened in May. Kelly says the Public Safety Minister's office was informed before the transfer, but moving forward, the minister will be personally briefed in high-profile cases. Well, if you're doing any camping this summer, maybe take a moment to look at your new modern day gear and reflect on how good you have it. Back in the day, the gear was bigger, heavier, and scratchier. Turns out the people who carried it were made of some pretty tough stuff too. You can see for yourself in tonight's look inside the vault.
So you can kind of see with the puffiness of it that it's still, even though the sleeping bag is about 70 years old, still quite fluffy and still quite heavy and lined with what would only be the scratchiest of wools in order to keep you warm. Hi, my name is Maureen Peters and I'm the Curator of History at the Rooms, and today I'm going to take you inside the vault. Come on in. Well, camping season is upon us, even though it's a bit late this year. And here we have a sleeping bag that is wool lined and filled with eiderdown. It's called an Arctic sleeping bag, and it is very heavy and very awkward. So I don't think you'd be doing much backwoods camping with this because it weighs more than I do. Well, this bag was owned by Dr. Nigel Rusted, a very well-known physician here in Newfoundland. And he was known as a great outdoorsman. He went all kinds of hiking trips and tenting trips and loved being in the outdoors as much as he could. And it's very well worn. You can see where he hand patched some of the stuff that was worn through. He darned different aspects of it in order to keep using it. So it was very, very well loved. You actually can still smell the woods off of it, and there's wood smoke coming off of it, even though it has been conserved by our staff here through freezing. It's also very, very large. Not much like the ones, the tech gear you're going to get camping these days. But again, it kind of shows our love of the outdoors and our ability to survive outdoors and how much we wanted to go outdoors, regardless of the weight of these bags and how heavy and awkward they were, and the desire to survive in the outdoors in a very inhospitable climate.
That was so interesting. You wouldn't want to be hiking through the woods with that on your back.
Not today.
No, definitely not. Do you do much camping?
No.
No. I haven't been camping in a really long time. I like a cabin, a nice cabin.
Yeah, cabin, glamping might be a little bit more my speed.
Yeah, me
but
too. Me too.
Not on the woods floor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so we're going to look at the long-range forecast now. We were talking earlier about some cooling down that's happening in some places. How's the long range looking?
Looking like throughout the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, we could see a few showers depending on where you are. Saturday looking like your better day compared to Sunday. So let's take a look. Here we go. Here's our look ahead from Friday evening through to Saturday. You can see some showers starting to approach from the southwest coast on up the northern peninsula and through parts of central Newfoundland. And as we take a further look at this, what we'll see here in St. John's is a mix of sun and cloud, 27 degrees, so looking really nice on the east end of things for Saturday. And we'll pick up a chance of showers as we head a little bit further west with a mix of sun and cloud for Gander, but we could see some showers there as well. A chance of showers down on the Boot in Marystown, and as we head west, we'll see cloudy with a chance of showers. We will see some showers in Port aux Basques and a chance of them right on up through this region of the province, in through the Straits and into Labrador, where our temperatures on like the east part of the island will still be warm, but in your mid-20s for Central and into Corner Brook. A similar trend that we have been seeing cooling off for Labrador City and Nain, though. As we look into Saturday in the overnight, we see those showers continue to push through, bringing more to Labrador. So we take a look at our Sunday forecast. Pretty well, it looks like everyone's got a chance of showers pretty well right across the province. We don't see any bright yellow sun here in this, so cooling off a little bit for St. John's on Sunday. Still warm through Central and Corner Brook, and picking back up a little bit in the temperature through coastal and central Labrador and into Happy Valley Goose Bay, where it should be about 23 degrees on Sunday. Taking a look at our 5-day forecast now for St. John's on Friday, 26 degrees with a chance of showers for us tomorrow. Saturday, like I said, that's your better day with some sunshine, 27 degrees. We're bringing in a chance of showers over the weekend, 24, 26, still pretty warm. Tuesday looking like half decent day. As we move on into central and western Newfoundland, tomorrow we can see for central some mix of sun and cloud with some showers possible there as well. Chance of showers through the weekend there too and into Monday. But Tuesday looking like a nicer day with your temperature inching back up into the 29-degree range, getting close to 30 for western Newfoundland, looking like 25 for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, seeing a chance of showers over the weekend and into Monday, and Tuesday is your nice day for you. As we go to Labrador now, eastern Labrador, tomorrow looks absolutely beautiful. Again, a chance of showers throughout the weekend and Monday, with Tuesday being your nice day with your temperatures ratcheting back up then. And for western Labrador, a chance of showers tomorrow through the weekend, and basically you can see a chance of precipitation pretty well throughout the next 5 days. And if you'd like to cool off, I think this is where you need to be.
Oh, wow.
In Conception Bay in a sailboat.
Oh, that is fantastic.
This comes from Greg Horner.
I know I'm asking you all kinds of questions, but do you sail?
I have been sailing.
Yeah.
I don't sail like this, but yeah, it is certainly a way
that looks like so much fun.
Cool off with all those winds.
Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah, great shot. Thank you so much for that, Greg. Really appreciate that. So we know that you like rowing, not so much camping.
Not so much camping.
And sailing.
I like sailing. I like the water sports.
Yeah. Cool. All right, well, that is it for us on this Thursday evening. Tomorrow is Friday.
That's right.
Fantastic.
TGIF.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.